Okay, so the first section is winter 1934. 34. But when you turn the next page, it says beginning August 1920. How's that work? I'm going to tell you how. So August 1920 is when Billy Joe was born. So now you were all born in a hospital, right? Very rarely will you find a kid nowadays that happened to be born at home, or maybe they didn't make it and they were born in the car on the way home. It doesn't happen very often anymore, right? Most of the time, kids are born in hospitals. But a long time ago, there weren't hospitals that were close by. They didn't have cars to just go to the hospital, or maybe they didn't have money to go to the hospital. So lots of times, most of the time, kids were born at home. Imagine that. Imagine being born at home. Would that be weird?
Yes.
Yes. And even more often, when they were born at home, they weren't born at home with a doctor. Imagine that. They were born at home by the dad or a family member, or now sometimes they could bring a doctor in. A lot of times they could bring a doctor in, or what they call a midwife in, but sometimes it didn't happen. So this is how we start this story. You ready?
Yeah.
Beginning August 1920. As summer wheat came ripe, so did I. Born at home on the kitchen floor, Ma crouched barefoot, bare-bottomed over the swept boards because that's where Daddy said it'd be best. I came too fast for the doctor, bawling as soon as Daddy wiped his hand around inside my mouth. To hear Ma tell it, I hollered myself red the day I was born. Red's the color I've stayed ever since. Thank you. Daddy named me Billy Joe. He wanted a boy. Instead, he got a long-legged girl with a wide mouth and cheekbones like bicycle handles. He got a red-headed, freckle-faced, narrow-hipped girl with a fondness for apples and a hunger for playing a fierce piano. From the earliest I can remember, I've been restless in this little panhandle shack we call home, always getting in Ma's way with my pointy elbows, my fidgety legs. By the summer I turned 9, Daddy had given up about having a boy. He tried making me do. I look just like him. I can handle myself most everywhere he puts me, even on the tractor, though I don't like that much. Ma tried having other babies. It never seemed to go right, except with me. But this morning, Ma let on how she's expecting again. What does that mean, expecting? Expecting a baby. She's going to have a baby. Other than the 3 of us, there's not much family to speak of. Daddy, the only boy Kelby left since Grandpa died from a cancer that ate up most of his skin. And Aunt Ellis, almost 14 years older than Daddy and living in Lubbock, a ways south of here and a whole world apart to hear Daddy tell it. And Ma, with only great Uncle Floyd, old as ancient Indian bones and mean as a rattler, rotting away in that room down in Dallas. I'll be nearly 14, just like Aunt Ellis was when Daddy was born, by the time this baby comes. Wonder if Daddy will get his boy this time. January 1934. What are you giggling about? Okay, so she was born in August of 1920. Now we're in the winter of 1934. That's where the story starts, really. The mom's pregnant. So the mom's at home, right?
Yeah.
Mom's at home, Dad's at home. We know Mom leaves later. We're going to find out how. So she says they don't have a lot of family. Did y'all, I'm going to point it out because I like it. Did y'all hear all the figurative language in there? Like, the cancer that ate up most of his skin. Cancer doesn't really eat, does it? Not like you do. Or old as ancient Indian bones. Was he really as old as ancient Indian bones? No. It just means he's really old, right? What about mean as a rattler? What is a rattler? A rattlesnake. A rattlesnake. Do you think a rattlesnake would be mean?
Yes.
Oh yeah, poison is mean. So would it have the same effect if it just said great Uncle Floyd and he was really old? No, it doesn't have the same effect. But when we say something like as mean as a rattler, it gives it a little more for you. Okay. The next one's called Rabbit Battles. Mr. Noble and Mr. Romney have a bet going as to who can kill the most rabbits. It all started at the rabbit drive last Monday over to Sturgis when Mr. Noble got himself worked up about the damage done to his crop by jacks. What's a jack? Jackrabbit. Y'all ever seen a jackrabbit?
Yes.
They're not the same as like the little bunnies y'all see hopping around here. They're really big and fast, yeah. Mr. Romney swore he'd had more rabbit trouble than anyone in Cimarron County. They pledged revenge on the rabbit population, wagering who could kill more. They ought to just shut up, betting on how many rabbits they can kill. Honestly, grown men clubbing bunnies to death makes me sick to my stomach. I know rabbits eat what they shouldn't, especially this time of year when they could hop halfway to liberal and still not find food. But Miss Freeland says if we keep plowing under the stuff they ought to be eating, what are they supposed to do? Mr. Noble and Mr. Romney came home from Sturgis Monday with 20 rabbits apiece, a tie. It should have stopped there, but Mr. Romney wasn't satisfied. He said Noble cheated, and he brought in rabbits somebody else killed, and so the contest goes on. Those men, they used to be best friends. Now they can't be civil with each other. They scowl as they pass on the streets. I'm scowling too, but scowling won't bring the rabbits back. They're all skinned and cooked and eaten by now. At least they didn't end up in Romney and Noble's cook pots. They went to families that needed meat. January 1934.
Custodian to the 6th grade boys' restroom, please. I need a custodian to the 6th grade boys' restroom.
Okay, last one for today. This one's called Losing Livy. Livy Killian moved away. I didn't want her to go. We've been best friends since 1st grade. You've all had kids move away, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe you moved from school. So think about that, and I want you to think about did your community or your school or your friends or whatever do the same thing that happened here and how different it was here than how you've experienced it. Okay. The farewell party was Thursday night at the Old Rock Schoolhouse. Livy had something to tease each of us about, like Ray sleeping through reading class and Hillary, who on her speed writing test put an even ton of children instead of an even 10. Livy said goodbye to each of us separately. She gave me a picture she made of me sitting in front of a piano wearing my straw hat, an apple halfway to my mouth. I handed Livy the memory book we'd all filled with our different slants. I couldn't get the muscles in my throat relaxed enough to tell her how much I'd miss her. Livy helped clean up her own party, wiping spilled milk, gathering sandwich crusts, sweeping cookie crumbs from the floor while the rest of us went home to study for semester reviews. Now, Livy's gone west, out of the dust, on her way to California, where the wind takes a rest sometimes. And I'm wondering what kind of friend I am, wanting my feet on that road to another place instead of Livy's. January 1934. So when your friends move away, do y'all have a farewell party?
No.
Everybody comes and no. So it's very different. Why do you think it was so different? Why do you think, Ethan?
That was like 90 years ago.
Sure. What do you think? Because they probably never moved back. And it was also a much smaller community. So there's, I think, like 83 of y'all in the 5th grade here, and that's actually not a lot. We're a small school. But they had like 10 kids in their grade. So it was a big deal if somebody moved away, right? It was a big deal. Okay. Now think about what she says right here. She says, so her friend's moving to California. She says, I'm wondering what kind of friend I am, wanting my feet on that road to another place instead of Livy's. What do you think she means by that?
She wants
What do you think?
to go.
What do you think? She does. She wants to go. But why do you think she says, what kind of friend am I? What do you think, Bentley? Chloe, what do you think?
She's like, she's supposed to think she's a good friend and she wants places.
Yeah, she's thinking she wants, because we know that what they live in right now is not a great place, right? And her friend is getting out of it. And so she's thinking, God, am I a good friend because I'd rather her be here and me gone? Something to think about. Okay. Good, that only took us 9 minutes.